Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I want to make a video just kind of talking about everything I've learned on my road to 10K. I'm on the precipice of 10K. I'm currently 9,900 MMR. If you want to watch me get to 10K, I'll be streaming live on Twitch basically every single day at 7:30 p.m. EST. The link is in the description. But what I want to do in today's video is teach you guys kind of like, what have I learned? What lessons have I taken out of my road to 10K? And what have I learned that has allowed me to become such a consistent player so that you guys can use it as well? Before we begin today's video, I want to quickly tell you about today's sponsor, which is Manscaped. They were kind enough to send me some free stuff. I highly recommend it to you guys as well. The first thing is the Manscaped lawnmower. It's rechargeable, it works in the shower. You can use it to shave your balls. It's extremely easy to use. I've had limited problems with it, so I can't recommend it enough. The next thing is the shampoo and conditioner and the body wash. These I'm using literally every single day. They smell very nice. Like for the majority of my life, and probably for a lot of you guys, you kind of just smell like a teenage boy. You know what I mean? It's like the Axe body wash that you just smell all over your gym's locker room. Get some stuff that actually smells nice. My girlfriend, yes, I actually have, you guys might not believe it, I have a girlfriend. She says it smells extremely nice. I fully agree. I love the way it smells. Gives me some confidence as well. So if you're interested in buying these products, use the link down below to go check it out. And if you use code SPEED while checking out, you can get 20% off and free shipping. And I'll see you guys there. So the first thing that was very important for me in this lane was identifying my spikes or my timings in this lane. The first thing I understood was that Shiny is bad against me at level 1. You know, Tiny's just one of those heroes where he doesn't directly put a lot of pressure at level 1. He can decide to hit you, but the main thing I've been doing, what I think I've been doing extremely well, is identifying my matchup and playing accordingly. And a big thing about being good at Dota is kind of understanding the strengths and weaknesses. So one strength of VIPER at level 1 is that if someone goes out of position, you can actually kill them, where most lanes would only be able to harass them. So for instance, right here, when my Earth Spirit goes in, I understand what he's doing here. He understands that the Ench is not strong yet, the Tiny has no way to defend her, and as a result, his positioning on the Enchantress allows us to get a kill. This is pretty big for this lane. Because another thing to note about this lane in particular is that Enchantress is actually a very, very hard counter to VIPER. This matchup is atrocious. So if I don't get these early kills and this early pressure, the lane is only going to get harder because the creep that Enchantress takes over is actually a very hard counter to the 2 armor, 275 movement speed that Razor has. So on that note, I understood that this timing of an Ench creep was likely to come up soon. Unfortunately, the large camp was not blocked, and as a result, what I wanted to do is get the lane back as fast as possible. This is another thing that I've learned on my road to 10K. I mean, this is specifically for offlane, of course, but basically the ability to static the wave in the place that you want is absolutely massive when it comes to gaining MMR, and I've really been taking advantage of it. You can see I do drag this one under tower here because it was a few too many creeps. I don't really want to fight into a double wave, but even then, because I don't instantly push in the wave, the next wave is going to meet very close to our tower. And now, if the lane was a good lane for VIPER, I feel like the game would be over. Unfortunately, the Enchantress at level 2 was able to take over. I think she took over this camp, actually. Yeah, I basically, it was a mistake from Earth Spirit, I'm not gonna lie. For him to allow them to have a camp at minute 2 on Enchantress is, you know, there's nothing else to say besides game-losing stuff. And so, it is what it is. I knew this was my counter, and you'll realize that I actually mess up here. Now, I didn't really see at the moment that, you know, he had the creep. I also kind of was hoping he didn't, but I need to adjust. And so, I understand my matchup here, but I actually stepped out of position. Funny enough, this was actually a lane where I threw it pretty hard. This is a situation where I'm in extreme advantage because there's basically no good way for Tiny to approach the wave. What I mean by that is, like, think about it. What can Tiny do here? If he goes up for a last hit, I'm gonna build up at least 3 poison on him, right? And so all I needed to do was just not get caught by some dumb Ench creep. But funny enough here, I stepped up. I completely forgot about this Enchantress interaction, and I got destroyed. I actually ended up dying here. It was a crazy play by Ench, beautiful stuff. But overall, that's the thing, right? Even though I end up dying here, this lane could have been a lot worse. If I pushed the lane in, I didn't understand these mechanics of creep aggro, and I didn't keep my lane back, not only would I have died once, I likely would have died 3 or 4 times in this lane. And instead, because of this equilibrium, you'll once again see that the lane is not too bad. I think we end up killing Ench here as well, which is obviously pretty nice for my lane. So at the end of the day, it wasn't that bad, and it really comes down to just this. Just my understanding of how to get the lane back, which largely came off a side pull. It can also come off creep aggro, which I'll cover more in a future video. Basically, the main way you do that is you just pull aggro onto your range creep, and then when the aggro is on your range creep, you let the range creep die, and then pull aggro to get the lane back. That's the major concept here, but this is why I'm going to be picking VIPER in my future rank games. I just kind of want to abuse people in the lane, and it's something you can learn to do. The next thing is adapting to the game state. I would say the average player honestly kind of struggles with their ability to basically be willing to admit that the game is shitty. As you'll see here, because of the whole skirmishing that just went down, my CS is absolutely atrocious. I only have 14 in minute 5. I mean, EE's isn't great either. 21 on Tiny in minute 5 is pretty bad as well. Thankfully, my net worth isn't too bad because of all the kills in the first blood, but I had to adapt to the lane. And this is something that I think a lot of people would forget to do. They're just going to play the lane normal. But I knew that my Earth Spirit went mid. I had to adjust. So what do? I actually run at the Enchantress a little bit here. Basically, my thought process was she can't trade with me at all. You know, she can try, she can sort of use a creep, but it's not favorable for her. So I was able to bully out the Ench a little bit, force her to use her E. And then at this point, what I was looking to do is only approach if I thought I was safe. Now, even here, I will admit, hitting the Tiny is potentially a mistake. If he manned up and just Avatossed me under tower, I could potentially die. I think he was just afraid of the poison building up too much. I was able to actually get 5 stacks on him there, which is pretty huge because it did about 400 damage. It's very, very significant. But I was able to once again back off, and you can see I understood the state of the game. I understood that my Earth Spear went mid. It is what it is. You know, such is life. Sometimes people just leave your lane. Sometimes you get left alone. You gotta adapt. You gotta look for side pulls. You gotta look to drag the wave, and you gotta look to trade with the support who you can potentially kill. The main one there is side pulling. If you get left alone or you get screwed, you kind of need to look to pull the lane back. That's if you're in the safe lane or to the off lane, it doesn't really matter. So the next sequence of events you guys are about to watch is honestly the main reason why I'm able to snowball this game so hard. This is the portion of the game that I think I do extremely well, and if you guys can copy it even slightly, even if you only do it like 80% as well as I do, you're gonna notice a huge jump in your average net worth. So let's take a look at it. The first thing I want to do is look to amp farm when I'm afraid of a rotation. So in this example, I'm going to show you how to amp your farm and when should you amp your farm instead of pushing the tower, right? Because I think this is a really important question for people. When do I push in the tower and when do I farm? So the main thing I'm looking for is, are my threats on the map? Currently, I see the quap bottom and that's about it. So what I wanted to do was clear this wave as fast as possible, making sure I get all the CS, which I do. And then I don't see anybody. So I'm like very, very hesitant to make a play. Now I'm starting to see heroes. I see the Coddle, I see the Enchantress, and now I finally see the Tiny. At this point, I was already pretty committed to killing this camp, and VIPER doesn't do that much damage to the tower, so I'm more than happy to farm this camp over pressuring the tower, but that is the main thought process. Even if everyone was showing on the map, I would still have to be very afraid of TPs. Once again, VIPER is one of the slowest heroes in the game, and I have to play around that fact. So you'll notice as the Coddle starts to blast me out, what I quickly decide is I don't really have too much of an interest in diving the Coddle. My Earth Spirit, he had other ideas and I kind of understand it, but VIPER is very slow. He's extremely bad at catching Coddle, maybe one of the worst heroes in the game at doing that. And so instead, I look to amp farm, kill the small camp, and all of a sudden my net worth is looking extremely good. I'm ahead of the enemy carry Tiny, and because of the fact that I'm constantly pushing in the wave, I've actually brought a lot of attention to the top lane as well. Of course, that's partially due to the fact that my Earth Spirit dove to tier 1 and TA came up here as well, but it's a mix. And you'll notice, even though the enemy team comes top, pay attention to what I do here, all right? This is huge, like literally huge. It is really huge. So in this situation, what a big mistake that people make is that they see heroes, they panic, they leave. You do not want to leave. Okay, where else am I gonna go? You might be like, Speed, go bottom, TP bottom. What happens if I TP bottom? What happens? Enemy team invades my triangle, I can't help, my map gets collapsed, okay? Now you might be like, oh, that wouldn't happen in my pubs, so should I TP bottom? Maybe, but even then, it's very likely that my TA is gonna go from here all the way across and down. So I'd actually be farming her future wave, right? And so that's something I don't wanna do as well. So as the offlaner, it's not that you always have to take the defensive farm. If I was playing Nature's Prophet, there's a decent chance I'd TP bottom, because I'm just like looking to basically get as big as I can in the majority of games. But I don't do that. Instead, I say top. Now, unfortunately, I get kicked out of top, but you'll see the pattern is going to generally repeat itself. I wasn't sure where to go, but I felt like the enemy team was going to dive top. And so you guys know in my videos, I am huge into advocating that you split push. But the problem here is that if I run bottom, okay, let's say I run bottom, so I keep my TP up, okay? So I can TP top. The problem is by the time I get to bottom, this fight's going to end. So I have to decide, do I want to be at this fight or not? I decided I wanted to, right? I'm a Viper, I'm pretty strong. But one thing that people really do wrong is they would TP bottom here. That is the worst case scenario. That is the worst, like worst case scenario. Do not TP to it, like the furthest side lane away from your team when they are pushed up aggressively on the map. At least walk to the lane, right? At least walk to the lane. Instead, I do neither, and as a result, I'm able to show up to this top fight. The Quap overextends a little bit, we're able to take her out, and it's a really favorable engagement. Also, once again, on that note from before, stay in the area. If you back up, you will not be in position to make plays. Now, sometimes you have to, because the enemy team is much stronger than you and they know where you are. But in this case, this Pango is not necessarily stronger than me. He didn't have ulti, I knew that, so I assumed he was pretty weak in this case. And as a result, as he overextends, I switch to my Agi treads. It's a really nice roll and kickback from the Air Spirit. We're able to pick up a big kill onto the Pango. And finally, we're able to get this tier 1 tower. And after we kill the call, of course, I'm able to once again connect, flash farm, same ideas. Then I knew the wave was pushing in. I get the tower last hit. And the next thing I do is I'm going to look to shove in top wave. I don't immediately run mid because honestly, Viper is a slow hero. So Viper doesn't want to do that. And I understand that. And it's very hard as like, let's say I was a safe laner, right? It's very hard as a safe laner to not show up to these type of fights. It's very hard as an off laner to not show up to these type of fights. It's very hard as a mid laner to not show up to these type of fights. Even as a position 4 player on a hero that, you know, let's say you're very close to your Blink Dagger, your Nurse Shaker, it's very hard not to show up to every fight. You just have to really try to determine your relative impact. You know, let's say you lose a fight for your team by not showing up, or, you know, it's slightly unfavorable for your team. It's fine, right? In a lot of cases, it's fine, because once again, as we look at the map, this is a big reason why I feel like I'm winning games, and I mean this. I'm constantly getting this top wave in. I'm bringing so much attention to top in a lot of games, and then other games, what I'm also doing by nether toxining this wave, actually I auto-attack that wave. Now, what's going to happen is this is going to push in, and if the enemy team doesn't respond in time, they're actually going to lose a creep wave. Honestly, in hindsight, this is a good learning moment for me. What I wish I did is I wish before I TP'd, I actually shoved in this wave with my nether toxin. I actually don't know why I didn't do that. Was it on cooldown? No, it wasn't. So yeah, I should have nether toxin this wave, because then when I TP mid, this wave is going to die to the tower and they're going to lose that farm, right? It's an overall net worth advantage. It's actually an 150 gold swing if you want to look at it that way, right? It's quite significant, and I'd get all the CS or a good amount of the CS. So that's something as well. I ended up TPing mid. It's not terrible that I saved nether toxin because I think I end up going on an ench. Yeah, I could. It was hard to use nether toxin on her here because of the fact that she was disengaging. But either way, ended up picking the ench kill. That was really good, and that's the only time I TP. But you can see until then, I'm looking to just continuously get in this top wave, keep my farm up, and no, it is not shutting my teammates down. A lot of people think like, oh, my gameplay is like destroying my teammates. It's not, right? It's not. The Mars wants to make plays anyway, right? That's his job. He's supposed to be the lowest of our 3 cores. And on top of that, I am looking to make plays occasionally. And now that I've committed my TP to mid, it's a little bit hard for me to get out onto the map, right? Like, I don't want to, now that I've TP mid, I don't want to like run to a side lane with no TP, because then it's hard for me to put pressure. So what I wanted to do is I wanted another toxin in the mid wave. I kick out the Quap, I kill off the mid wave, because once again, always looking to push in the wave, keep the waves on the enemy side of the map, so they have to show in defensive portions. And I'm also always paying attention to the map. This is so huge. This is probably the biggest thing for getting to really high MMR. Your ability to watch the map. I'm watching my Mars, I'm watching my Air Spirit, I see them approaching, I try to stay out of a potential ward vision, then he's able to pop up, go for the ulti, into the Qs, kill onto the Pango, beautiful. So upcoming here is probably my favorite play of the game. We ended up winning a fight bottom, and, you know, as you would expect in typical Viper fashion, you just farm the nearest lane because, once again, you're slow. You're a sack of potatoes, right? You don't go very quick. So another toxin in the wave, but upcoming here is the big play, okay? This is like, I love this type of, this is like my favorite play of the game, and it's so like, I don't know, nuance or like fun, I don't know, it's just funny to me, but basically I'm farming bottom side of the map, okay? Why? Because we took the fight, I told you guys that. And now, right, I look to clear this wave. The reason why, even though this is seemingly dangerous, which it is, I clear it because I see them going top. Now, I understand, my Witch Doctor's here, my TA is here, this does not look like a fight, okay? Could it be a fight? It could be. But it doesn't really look like a fight, right? It doesn't really look like a fight. And so I'm hesitant to go there. Why? Because if I TP top, I'm stuck. I can't farm anything. If I stay bottom, there's a ton for me to farm. I get to shove in the next wave, and I get to take an entire tower, which is an insanely large amount of gold, and that's exactly what I do. I get this tower from nearly full HP. That's a ton of gold for my team. It's a decent amount of map control. And I honestly even wish I pushed in this wave. I think one thing I need to do more as a player is really put an emphasis. It's funny, I already put an emphasis on this, but even more to really just make sure the enemy team is you know, missing waves. As this Tiny goes on him here, if I nether toxin this, he might lose the entire creep wave to the tower, which is once again a big net worth swing for no committal, right? These are the type of plays that really enable you to just snowball without hard committing. Now I walked over here for obvious reasons. I wanted to kill the Tiny, but it was a bit of a dangerous area, and so we had to back off. All right, the next thing that I really believe has helped me get towards 10K is my ability not to panic when I get gone on. So you'll see in this mid fight here, it's looking pretty grim, right? I get gone on by a huge roll. I unfortunately don't have my manta, which is a big problem here because I cannot get rid of this quap dagger, so it's gonna, you know, slow my movement speed to a crawl. And in this situation, a lot of people would fuck up in not basically getting off everything they can. So honestly, even right off the bat, one thing I wish I did is instantly switch to the Strength Vambrace and Strength Treads, which would have been obviously pretty important here because it is a lot of HP, and in particular, the Vambrace switch actually gives 10% magic resist, which is a ton. So a bit of a mistake on my part here, but even from there, I have to not panic. I get gone on, I think I do the swap here, I do. And then after that, I think I pop my wand after I get gone on. Really beautiful kick from the Earth Spirit, so shout out that guy. But even then, right, I still am not going to look to panic. I understand, okay, my team is actually committing to this fight. I'm not going to get away. Like, I'm a Viper, I'm enchanted, I'm daggered. I'm not running, okay? If I run, what's going to happen? I'm going to not get off any spells. My team's going to have to take, you know, at this point, a 3v5 if I die, and I'm going to get nothing off. So instead, I try not to panic. I get out my Viper Strike onto the edge, which I think was a mistake. I should have just tried to Toxin and Cure. But either way, I end up doing that. The reason why I say it was a mistake is I think I should have ultied the Tiny here. You know, just kind of mess up his BKB timing. But either way, once again, lack of panic, right? I'm getting gone on right before I die. It might not seem like a lot, but this type of stuff matters. It sets up for a 30% movement speed slow because once again, I don't panic. I go on the Tiny here. I get off as many autos as I can before dying. Now he's in Nether Toxin. He's slowed by Corrosive, and he's slowed by Poison Attack and taking bonus magical damage. And this is 30% bonus magical damage, which is pretty huge. You'll see his magic resist is now 2%. And that is literally just based off of a couple of auto attacks. He goes from, right, 25% to 2%, guys. Pretty nuts, huh? It's pretty freaking nuts. And, like, that type of thing adds up because now my Earth Spirit rolls in. He's going to get hit by a Spear, which gets amped, a Vessel, which gets amped, the Roll, which gets amped, the Kick, the Silence. It all gets amped. And these are the type of plays that change games. And it might not seem like that. It's like, surely this is not the type of thing that gets you to the next level. Well, you know, it's not. Everything is, right? The culmination of everything is what gets you to the next level. You know, being able to implement everything I'm telling you in this video a little bit better is what's going to make you gain rank. But yeah, that is why it definitely does matter, right? The play you just watched where it only seems like 3 auto attacks definitely could end up mattering. It allows, even if, right, the Tiny would have died anyway, because a lot of people would be like, Tiny would have died anyway, it doesn't matter. Even if he died anyway, it could save my team a full second or 2 seconds of time because he dies slightly faster. They can then use that time to get onto the next target or disengage, whatever they need to do. It really does matter. All right, and that's going to be about the end of today's video as we get mega creeps here. On top of that, I would like to say that I think Amar's talent choice at level 20 sucks. It's a bit of a side tangent, but in a pro game, because I basically copied his item build, I think he didn't go Pike, but in a pro game, he took Viper Strike DPS, which is just wild to me. To be fair, I mean, it adds 400 damage, so it's a 400 damage nuke bonus to your nuke, right, to your ulti. But he didn't even buy an Ags, and it's like, on top of that, the 8% poison attack magic resistance reduction makes your ulti do more damage anyway. It also amps your Q damage, and your W damage, and your E damage, and most importantly, your entire team's damage. So, I don't know, I couldn't believe it. I know this is a side tangent. You're probably like, Speed, why in the world are you telling me this? I just wanted to share it with you guys. You know, some of you will find it funny. Will find it interesting. But all right, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, I'll see you in some of the streams. If you do decide to come over, let me know that you followed. If it's your first time in the stream, and I'll be happy to see you guys. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.